If you want to go and buy a good pair of wireless ANC earbuds but you don't want to spend too much money, then 3 models that always seem to crop up on people's lists are the Soundcore Liberty 4 Pros, the Earfun Air Pro 4s and the Soundpeats Capsule 3 Pro Plus. So in this video I'm going to be comparing them all side by side, looking at the sound quality and the mic quality, the battery life, the features, the ANC, everything and all the features across the board. I'm going to rate them against each other, so by the end of this video you will know which of these is right for you. Quick disclaimer, all the brands have sent me their earbuds to review, but no brand is paying for or sponsoring this video, so you will as always get my honest opinion. So looking at the earbuds and how they fit, and all the earbuds here are really well made and they're very similar in weight. So the lightest one here is the Earfun Air Pro 4s. Now they weigh 4.8 grams. You've got the Soundpeats weigh a little bit more at 5 grams, and the Soundcore ones are going to weigh 5.5. So the Soundpeats come with different size ear tips, but they only come with 3. So they come with a small, a medium and a large. Comparing that to the Earfun Air Pro 4s, they come with 5 different ear tips from extra small to extra large, and the Soundcores come with 6 from extra small all the way up to extra large. So if you're the type of person that has trouble finding earbuds that fit your ears, then going for either the Earfun or the Soundcores will be a better option because you've got more ear tips to choose from. For my ears though, all 3 of these fitted my ears comfortably. I happily wore all of these for hours at a time listening to music and I didn't have any issues. Moving on to the cases, and both the Soundpeats and the Earfun ones here are a nice matte black finish which helps to minimize fingerprints. The Soundcore one though definitely doesn't minimize fingerprints. It's got this glossy lid on the front which is an absolute fingerprint magnet. But there is a reason for this, because that lid is translucent so you can see through it, because underneath here is a display. Now that will show you the battery life of how charged your earbuds are. Not just whether it's on or off, but the actual percentage. It actually comes with a control panel as well, which I'll get into in a little bit. So this case is definitely more feature rich. The Earfuns do have 3 LEDs on the front which will tell you how charged those earbuds are, and then the Soundpeat just has a single LED on the front which changes a different color to show you how charged up those earbuds are. So from a build and fit perspective, I'm going to give a 3 to the Soundcores and 2 to the Earfuns and just 1 to the Soundpeats. Now moving on to the controls, and both the Soundpeats and the Earfuns are very similar. They are touch controls where a single, double, triple and a long press action different commands. You can also configure what those commands do in the respective mobile apps for both of these earbuds. And the touch controls on both of those worked really well. However, the Soundcore Liberty 4 Pros doesn't have touch controls. It has a squeeze and a slide control, very similar to something like the Apple AirPods Pro. So you can squeeze the stem on a single, double, triple or a long press to trigger different commands, or you can slide your finger up and down the stem to control the volume. I do find that squeeze more useful when, say, you're going for a run or you've got wet hands, because the controls still work, where with touch controls, once your hands get wet or sweaty, then they're a little bit hit and miss. You can also control these earbuds using that screen on the case itself as well. So you've got a slider on the front of the case here, and you can slide it up and down to control the ANC levels. And then you can go into the menu and you can change things like the spatial audio settings, or you can even use it as a remote control for your phone to take a photo. It's a bit of a gimmick, but it's kind of cool. So personally, I prefer the squeeze controls than the touch controls. So it's a 2 for the Soundpeats and the Earfuns, and it's a 3 for the Soundcores. So both the Soundcores and the Earfuns are fairly close in terms of battery life. So you will get 11 or 10 hours of battery life with ANC off, but if you turn ANC on, then both of those will give you 7.5 hours of battery life. If you start to include the case to give you total power, well, you'll get 40 or 30 hours with these Soundcores, depending on whether ANC is off or on, and you'll get 52 or 42.5 with the Earfun case. The Soundpeats does fall behind here, because with ANC off it can only manage 6.5 hours of power. Plus if you turn ANC on, that then drops down to 5. And then even if you include the case, you'll get 43 hours with ANC off and only 32 with ANC on. When you do need to charge these cases, all of these come with a USB-C port in the back for charging over a cable, and they charge to full in around an hour and a half. However, 2 of these cases do support fast charging, and 2 of these cases do support wireless charging as well. So the Soundcore and the Earfuns support wireless charging and fast charging, whereas the Soundpeats doesn't do either of those. The Earfun Air Pro 4s will give you 2 hours of playback from just a 10-minute charge. However, the Soundcore Liberty 4 Pros doubles it and halves it, so it will give you 4 hours of playback with just a 5-minute charge. So these charge the fastest, that's got the most battery life, and this one, well, it's kind of falling quite a way behind. So it's 3 for the Soundcore, 3 for the earphones, and just 1 for the Soundbeats. Moving on to the mobile app, and I think this is crucial for a pair of earbuds because if the mobile app doesn't work well, then you can't use half the features that come with these earbuds. And for me, the best mobile app has to go to the Soundcore because their app has just been rock solid for years. It's really easy to use, it's clear, it's just an app that just works. The Earfun for me was probably the second best mobile app. Now, whilst there are preset EQs in the mobile app that you can use to tweak the sound of these, you can't really tell what each of those preset does because it just tells you the name, it doesn't show you the EQ of what it does. That's probably the only niggle for me with that Earfun app. The last one for me, and if you've seen my review of the Soundpeats one before, you'll know what I'm going to talk about, and their mobile app needs an internet connection in order to work. You just get a blank page if there's no internet connection. That's just a no-go for me. Like if I want to go on a plane and then I want to change something on my earbuds, well, I can't because now the app doesn't work. They do say they're working on a fix and they will update it going forwards, but as of today, they haven't yet, so I have to rate it as it is today. So ratings wise, it's a 3 for the Soundcore, 2 for the earphones, and 0 for the Soundpeats. Now moving on to the sound, one of the most important aspects of these earbuds, and all of these earbuds support AAC, SBC and high-res LDAC audio. The earphones, however, these Air Pro 4s also provide aptX adaptive, aptX lossless and Snapdragon sound support as well. So if you've got an Android device, then this provides the widest codec support. 2 of these also come with dual drivers and one of them doesn't. So the earphones don't come with a dual driver. There is just a 10mm driver inside these as opposed to the other 2. So the Soundpeats comes with a 12mm dynamic driver and an XMEMS speaker as well for higher frequencies. And then the Soundcore has a 10.5mm bass driver and a tweeter as well. What did surprise me though was that the earphones were surprisingly close for a single driver pair of earbuds. The bass and the treble on these were clear, but there just wasn't as much detail as there were in the other 2. The Soundpeats just had more clarity in the treble and a tighter bass, whereas the Soundcores definitely sounded warmer. Swings and roundabouts across here, and I'd actually be happy listening to any of them. So it's a 3 to the Soundcores, a 2 to the earphones, and a 3 to the Soundpeats. So now let's go do a mic test so you can hear how these are going to sound if you have to take a call on these in a quiet or a noisy environment. So you will now listen to a mic test of the Soundcore Liberty 4 Pros, and this is what it would sound like if you're going to take a call on these in a quiet room. You will now listen to the mics on the Earfun Air Pro 4 so you can hear what it would sound like if you're going to use these to take a call in a quiet room. You will now listen to a mic test of the Soundpeats Capsule 3 Pro Plus so you can hear what it would sound like if you had to take a call on these in a quiet room. You will now listen to the mic just up here so you can hear what the ambient sound in the room is like. There's some coffee shop noise playing in the background. If we now switch to the earbuds and the mics on these, you will now listen to the mic on the Soundcore Liberty 4 Pro so you can hear what it would sound like if you're going to take a call on these in a noisy environment. You will now listen to the mic on the Earfun Air Pro 4s in that noisy coffee shop noise environment, where you can hear what it would sound like if you had to take a call on these in a noisy room. You will now listen to a mic test of the Soundpeats Capsule 3 Pro Plus so you can hear what it would sound like if you had to take a call on these in a noisy room. Which ones of these do you think sounded the best? Let me know in the comments down below. I thought the Soundpeats were the worst. They added digital artifacts in the background that were very noticeable, and it had a big impact on the quality of my voice. It is close then between the Soundcore and the earphones, but I do think the Soundcore just edges the earphones out ever so slightly. So for the mic test, I'm going to give the Soundcores a 3, the earphones a 2, and the Soundpeats a 1. Now from an ANC perspective, 2 of these have variable ANC and transparency mode, and one of them doesn't. So both the Soundcore and the earphones have variable ANC. The Soundcore has 10 levels, so it's got 5 ANC levels and 5 transparency levels, and you have a slider that you can choose how much noise you want to let in or how much noise you want to cancel out. The earphones, on the other hand, have 4 ANC modes of strong, balanced, and a couple of AI modes. I didn't notice too much of a difference between the strong mode and the AI mode, so I just left it in strong. The Soundpeats don't have any modes, it's just on or off. Now all 3 of these do a pretty good job of cancelling out the lower frequencies, and it's always those higher frequencies that tend to cause a little bit of trouble, and this is where the Soundpeats starts to fall behind. It was the worst performing in cancelling out those mid to high frequencies. The earphones for me then came in a close second to the Soundcores, and the Soundcore just edged it out ever so slightly. It was just better at cancelling out some of those frequencies, such as people talking. Moving on to transparency, and the Soundpeats do amplify your noise with transparency mode on, but it's just a little bit artificial. And the earphones have two modes. They've got normal and default. Default is quite amplified. The normal just tones that down a little bit, so everything just sounds a little bit more natural. The Soundcores, on the other hand, have the variable transparency mode, so you can choose how much noise you want to let in. There is also a wind reduction mode on the Soundcores and the earphones. The wind reduction mode on the Soundcore Liberty 4 Pros I don't think works particularly well at all. It really doesn't do much to cancel out that wind. The wind reduction mode on the earphones though works really well. You do get reduced ANC when you use wind reduction, but the earphones are definitely the best if you're out on a windy day. The Soundpeats don't have a wind mode. So from a points perspective, it's a 3 for the Soundcores and the earphones, and I'm going to give the Soundpeats a 1. So moving on to the extra features, and these are extra things that the earbuds have over and above what I would consider core features of a pair of earbuds. So they're all waterproof to some degree. The Soundpeats are IPX4 waterproof rated, and the earphones and the Soundcores are IPX5 waterproof rated. So slightly better waterproof rating with the earphones and the Soundcores. They all have a game mode. The best one though is the earphones with a 50 millisecond game mode. There's a 70 millisecond game mode on the Soundpeats, and the Soundcore do have a game mode, but they don't tell you what the latency is. 2 of these have wear detection, so both the Soundcores and the earphones have wear detection. The Soundpeats don't. 2 of these also have auto power off. The Soundcore and the earphone do, and the Soundpeats don't. All of them support multi-point though, so you can be connected up to 2 devices at the same time. And extra features on top of that, the Soundcore Liberty 4 Pros does come with easy chat, so if you have that enabled, then when you start talking, it will lower the volume of the music so you can hear people talk, and when you stop talking, it will raise the volume of the music again. But the problem is that it does that whenever you talk, or whistle, or hum, or do anything, so I tend to not use it. One feature on the Earfun Air Pro 4s though that I thought was quite useful is Auracast. So we are starting to see this on more and more things. So you're starting to see it on earbuds and speakers, and it is a common broadcast format which allows multiple devices to all be connected to the same sound source. So I've managed to test this with a JBL speaker, both of them connected to my phone, playing the music out of the same thing. So you're going to see this appearing in more and more things as time goes on. So seeing these in the earphones really does future-proof them. So from an extras perspective, the Soundpeats does fall quite a way behind in just missing out some of those extra features. So I'm going to give it a 1 for the Soundpeats and a 3 to both the earphones and the Soundcores. So from a price perspective, the Soundcore Liberty 4 Pros are the most expensive. These are $130, and you can get them in black, white, or blue. Moving on to the earphones and the Soundpeats, well, both of these are $90. However, that's retail price. The Soundpeats Capsule 3 Pro Plus have 20% off at the moment, so they're down to $72 on Amazon at the moment. These do only come in black. The earphones are $90 retail, but they're now down to $68 on Amazon at the moment, and you can get these in black, blue, and 2 shades of white. So from a price perspective, it's definitely a 3 for the Soundpeats and the earphones, and I'm going to give a 1 to the Soundcores because they're the most expensive. So which of these should you buy? Well, if you add the scores across all the categories for each of these earbuds, then the Soundpeats come in third with only 14 points. The earphones come in second with 23, and the Soundcore win it with 25. So whilst the score of the Soundpeats was pretty low compared to the other 2, these do sound great. They're just let down by the other features of these earbuds that fall behind the other 2. However, the difference between those 2 is really close, and depending upon what you find more important in a pair of earbuds, like maybe it's battery life or ANC or sound or whatever, you might bias one over the other. Of course, not forgetting there is quite a significant price difference between the earphones and the Soundcores. So I will leave a link in the description down below where you can go and check out the score table at your own leisure, and I'll put some purchase links to them in the description down below so you can go check them out for yourself. If you do want to check out even more options though, then be sure to check out the link up here. If you have enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and share it. Consider subscribing if you're not. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.